Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the Practice Gratitude Success Show. I have an amazing guest. Of course, I always have amazing guests, and I always say that too, but I do. I am so blessed to have so many cool people coming on here. I'm so blessed to have so many people that are coming to attend. I mean, Chris Schaus, thank you so much. Len Mooney, Larry Ryan, the Queen the Queen of Green. Christy Kelly. There are just so many amazing people that come here all the time. I really appreciate that. And today I'm so excited today because, you know, all you people know me is like the guy that does all this gratitude sort of stuff. But I met a lady just recently who wrote a book in gratitude. It's called Gravitate to Gratitude. And her name is Carolyn Flower. And I'm going to just read a little bit from the back of her book here. Her book here is awesome. It's an amazing book. But I'm going to read a little bit from the back of it here, just for her introduction. And it says here, she's a champion of change entrepreneur. She mentors others to begin within, inspiring them to refocus the lens in various areas of their lives, discovering the art of their possible. She's a passionate first-person advocate for collaborative divorce philosophy. Collaborative divorce, isn't that cool? We kind of talked about that yesterday. And author of the forthcoming book, Family Ever After, Collaborative Life After Divorce. But she's a teacher. She's a teacher of gratitude. She's been in the PR for like since 1992. She owns her own PR firm, and so she describes in this book how she got to this point. But I'll let her talk a little bit more about that. But it's an amazing book, and she's an amazing lady. I'm so happy to have her here today. Carolyn, thank you so much for coming. I so appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was really honored for you to have me on here and to have this great conversation, because you're so actively inspiring other people online every day, and you know, never underestimate the power of that, because people look forward to, you know, that habit of knowing that you're there and that you're blessing yourself and you're blessing the people around you, and then that just becomes a blanket over everybody else. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and hi to everybody on the line.
And Barrington, I think he must be probably one of your friends, Barrington. I don't know. Do you know a fellow named Barrington? Barrington Gator?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, yeah, he's here as well. So he popped in. So thank you so much for coming here, Barrington. I appreciate that. But
hi,
yes,
Barrington.
You know, what I want to ask you, I want to talk a little bit about the simplicity of gratitude. I want to, just because it is. I mean, isn't it simple? Isn't it like such a simple thing to do?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's simple that the word is so common, and I think that the application of it people tend to think it's a complicated affair. You know, oh, I'm grateful for this. Yes, I'm grateful that I have this, and they think of all these great things that they're grateful for. But I mean, it all starts with, you know, I'm grateful to be here today. I'm grateful to be alive, and a lot of that sounds trite to some people, but it's where it all begins, right? And the moment you start paying attention to that emotion that comes with feeling grateful, everything changes. I mean, you can really open up your life to amazing things. And, you know, it's kind of a magical thing, because the more you pay attention to what you're grateful for, the more that arrives in your life to be grateful for. It's all about what you focus on, and it begins. Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking up there just a little bit. That happens sometimes on these Google Hangouts. Sometimes we break up a little bit.
Okay.
But that happens. There's really, I don't think there's anything that we can do about that. But anyway, yeah. So now you talk about in your book, you talk about refocusing the lens. So changing what you're focusing on. Could you elaborate a little bit more about what you mean by that? I think you just said it.
Yeah, because you know, refocus the lens is in terms of a lot of the time, you know, we focus on things that are what we perceive as our challenges, our struggles, and we focus on those things, lack of, or what we don't have, and we just pay attention to that. We micromanage that thought, and what we end up doing to ourselves is we end up bringing on more of the stuff that we just don't want. So, you know, it's like taking a picture with a camera of a very small, you know, shell on the ground, and all you'll see is the shell. But if you back it up and give yourself perspective to see the bigger picture, and if you were to take yourself and to elevate yourself in your camera lens and broaden it, you'd see the ocean, you'd see the horizon, you'd see the buildings, you'd see the mountaintops. you wouldn't be paying attention to that tiny little shell anymore. It would be part of the picture, but it wouldn't be what you're focused on. So refocusing the lens really is all about that. It's about, okay, I have a challenge. I can choose to look at it this way, or I can choose to flip that perspective around and find something about it that's going to be a growth lesson for me, or what can I take away from this, or what can I use as a teaching moment for myself.
Exactly. I love that analogy. That's such a simple but practical way of looking at things, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, it's something you can call to mind. It's like a little image that you can call to mind at any time, and I use it to teach my kids that too. You know, you get to choose. You get to choose, and I think that's where a lot of people think that everything around them in the exterior part of their life is really what's controlling them, but it's not. There's circumstances. They're going to come into your path, and being grateful and refocusing those thoughts in your mind doesn't mean the challenges just go away. You know, you're still going to be challenged. You're still going to have difficulties, but you know, if you can look at them from a different perspective, you're going to handle things differently. Your emotions are going to be different, and you're going to propel yourself forward, you know, into finding solutions for your challenges.
Exactly. And you know, and what I think sometimes too is, you know, with gratitude, people just kind of like take it for granted. Did you see that at all? That kind of take it for granted. They all say, "Oh yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful." So it's like, yeah, it's no big deal. You know, I said that one time. You know, every so often I'll say it. It'll like kind of, it's like they'll mix it in. It's like it's no big deal. But once you
it's a word.
Yeah,
it's a word. Yeah.
It's a word. Yeah.
When I was in. Go ahead. We have a delay, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, they might say the same thing, like, yeah, I love my wife, or I love my husband. They'll say, like, but they don't practice. They're not saying it. Well, if they get into that whole mode of actually loving their partner, it changes things. Then you create the momentum of more. And I love the simplicity of that, right?
Well, writing, that's why in the book you have an opportunity to write. So I've been a writer my whole life. Writing is therapeutic, it's cathartic. I mean, we could do an entire, you know, we could do an entire show just on the benefits of journaling and writing.
I know.
But there's 180 pages in there. There's 6 months worth of writing, and I didn't put any date on there on purpose on each page because I never want anyone to feel like they had to be in some sort of sequence. This is, you know, I wanted to encourage people to write as they wanted to write. And then I only asked 2 questions on each page. What are you grateful for, and what's the best part of your day? So that's what refocusing the lens does. And you can choose whenever is a good time for you to write. Sometimes some people like to do it in the morning, some people like to do it in the afternoon. But the art of writing brings awareness and brings honesty. It becomes a genuine feeling that you can identify with as soon as your pen hits the paper, because you're transferring your thoughts onto the paper, and then it reflects back at you. So when you're reading it, I had a book signing I guess it was in January, and she had purchased the book at Christmas time, and she started writing in it. And what she chose to do was, as she started to write, she used a different color ink depending on the emotion she was feeling at that time.
Oh.
So she brought the book to the book signing to show me all the work that she had done since Christmas. So that was like a month's worth of writing, and she was very diligent. And she used the color red for anger. So she showed me, you know, when I first started writing, look at all the red ink. And then she told me each color, calm and peace and tranquility and all of these other emotions. And then when you flip the pages of the book, you could see how she calmed down over a period of a month, just in a few weeks worth of writing her emotions down.
That's amazing.
So I was very grateful for that.
That's super cool. And another cool thing I like about this book here, with all your days of gratitude, each one has a different quote on the very top of it as well. So it's little reminders, have those little reminders, because we need reminders, don't we? Don't we need like little reminders to keep us going until we create that habit, until it becomes a ritual? I think we need little reminders to keep us going.
Oh yeah, I'm a note taker. I'm a sticky note person. I'm a reminder. I keep notes in my office. I keep notes by my bedside. I'm known to wake up in the middle of the night and write some thoughts down, and then when I wake up in the morning, I don't even remember having written them down. So, writing is really important. And taking it just a step further, I could share with you. I was in Palm Beach, Florida, at a Tony Robbins event a few weeks ago, and he doesn't. Yeah, he does an exercise with gratitude that takes it even a step further than that. And I would encourage everybody to look up this strategy that he uses. It's online. You can find it in a YouTube video. And I got to experience it firsthand, and it was just so powerful for me. Where he asks everybody, and you know, in that particular circumstance, we were like 9,000 people. So imagine the power and the energy in the room of 9,000 people focusing on what they're grateful for, but not only what they're grateful for, he asks you to go back in time. And first of all, he asks you to pay attention to your heart beating and how valuable it is that you're standing where you're standing, and how, you know, grateful you should be that you're here. And then he asks you to go back in time and identify 3 moments in your life where you were incredibly grateful. But not just identify them. He asks you to step into them. So you start with the first one, and he wants you to go step into the moment. Be back in that moment. And I went back, the first time I did it, I went back to the births of each of my children, and step into the moment, and then really feel what that felt like. And you do that 3 times over a period of this about a half an hour. And it's very serene and very calm. You can hear a pin drop in there until you start to hear people's emotion, and this just comes out, and there's people are, you know, they're very emotional about these moments because they're actually touching how it felt to be that grateful at that time. So it's a great exercise for anybody to do at any time. If you're feeling a little off balance, it's a great way to realign yourself.
Right. Another, you can call it anchoring. There's if you could, you remember it, and the more times you do it, on a daily basis, it starts to become you. You start to become you. When if you do it like just one time, just a little exercise, it's fine. It's like going to the gym one time. So I lift the weights one day. I'm in shape, but you're not. Until you start doing it every single freaking day, that doesn't become you. You need to create a habit, a ritual.
A habit.
And that's why,
it's a habit.
That's
what the book was intended for, to give people the reasons why they would want to write gratitude. There's 15 chapters to explain a little bit of my personal story in there, about my 365 days and why I chose to write the book and why I chose to write gratitude, and where I found gratitude in some circumstances that were not so pleasant.
I know.
And we all live in that world. We all have circumstances that happen. We all experience loss. We all experience, you know, times in our lives where you wonder, what can I possibly be grateful right now? This has happened to me. This has happened to me, but it hasn't happened to you. In fact, it's happened for you, right? These circumstances happen for you.
Amazing way to look at things. But Carolyn, when did you first start thinking about practicing gratitude?
I think it's been foundational for me most of my life. It's been something that, you know, everything happens for a reason. I've always managed to be able to, without identifying what I was doing, just able to kind of refocus things. When things went out of kilter, I could just kind of, you know, regroup and realign and go off on my way. My book, Family Ever After, was supposed to be the first book. I wasn't aware that the gratitude book was going to come out of me, but it was a chapter in that book. And the basis of the chapter was that how families who are retiring their marriage and going in 2 different directions, we used gratitude as the foundation of that. So instead of looking at all the things that were going wrong, which was why we were going in 2 different directions, we chose to look at what worked and focusing on that. We were great parents, and we had all of these qualities that, no, we weren't staying together as a family, but living in 2 separate homes, we focused on what we could do really well. And that's where that chapter called The Grace of Gratitude in that book became its own book, because it evolved into something where I thought, wouldn't it be great if families could have their own little guide, their own little book, where they could refocus on, you know, moving forward in a different way, which was, you know, embracing a new normal, but focusing on what works and who benefits from that. Well, everybody does, right?
Well, of course, you have to be at a certain point in order to get to that place. Because usually when people break up, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resentment, there's that sort of stuff. So to get to that place, how did you get to that place in your relationship with your ex-husband? How did you, was he on the same page initially? Is that with you?
Yeah, our marriage didn't break up in a destructive way. We went, you know, I mean, we had to work out, you know, whatever we had to work out to go into 2 different directions. But I think, I mean, you're absolutely right. There's all that negative emotion. That's all real. It's all very, I mean, you can't deny that that's how relationships go. Business relationships, family relationships go that way. But then we get back to that choice, right? We get back to the choice. If you were to choose to, through all of that mayhem and chaos that's happening, and it's a transformational time for a family, it's very, very difficult. And if you're focusing in on your kids and you're making sure that they're well, and you're not looking necessarily just at you, but you're looking at the bigger picture, you may find that you're able to refrain that anger, and you could put it into a different perspective for yourself and use it to move forward. Doesn't mean the anger is just going to dissipate, but it's a tool. You know, being grateful for what works somehow gets you through some of that, you know, anger, and you're able to identify your own feelings a lot more. They don't rule you. You kind of take charge of them.
It's almost like
that was our experience.
Yeah, it's like yesterday we had a relationship expert was on here yesterday, and she's talking about the things that how you should learn to love yourself before you get into a relationship. The problem is most people don't do that. They usually get into a relationship, and then they start learning, start evolving, and maybe somebody goes in one direction, somebody goes in the other direction, and that's where they kind of like drift apart like that. But if you listen to somebody like her or somebody like you before you start doing things, if you built that foundation first, then the house wouldn't fall down.
Yeah, you know, everyone evolves at a different rate. I mean, we can't possibly know because, you know, life steers us. You know, we have different things that happen in our life. But, you know, if you have a goal and you want to reach a goal, I say this to my kids, you know, if you're on a ship and you have your sights and your GPS map and you have your sights set on a goal, and the wind picks up that you didn't anticipate and it starts jostling around your ship, well, you don't change the destination and the goal. You just readjust the sails of your ship.
Exactly.
Right? And you get your rudder and you get yourself back on track, maybe not the way that you would have anticipated. I didn't anticipate divorcing 18 years after I got married. I didn't anticipate that.
Right.
But given that was the way that you know, my goal was always to make sure that my children were well, that our children never felt, you know, that pull and tug. And so that was the goal. So when things came through that were not anticipated and were a little bit, you know, off-putting or put us off balance, we just readjusted the way we handled it and to keep us, you know, right on track with that goal. And I think people sometimes don't realize that, you know, they kind of sail without a particular destination. So if you can ground yourself and say, I'm grateful for today. What is it about today that feels, you know, that gives me a feeling of wellness? And how can I share that with other people? Because you know, because you do it every day, sharing it and being, you know, sharing kindness, sharing compassion, sharing love, that's all part of gratitude. So when you're sharing it, I say, you know, gratitude is contagious. Catch the bug and pass it around. You know, just keep giving. Give to give. You don't give to get something in return. You're giving to give. And what happens? All of a sudden you notice, like that lady that you may not have noticed, you notice her in the grocery store saying she's grateful every day. Maybe you wouldn't have noticed that if you weren't giving so much gratitude to other people.
Right. Yeah, you see it. It's this reticular activating thing we have in our brain where, you know, if you're driving a certain type of car, you're going to see that type of car. Or the example you used before, if you're a pregnant lady, you notice other pregnant ladies. You know,
so that's the compound effect of gratitude. If you're paying attention and you're aware of it, all of a sudden you start to notice things to be grateful for. So your life gets richer. It just automatically gets richer.
And
you know, without trying.
Yeah, on chapter 12 here, you use the example of the penny. You use the example of you. What would you rather have? Now, I've heard this one. I mean, I knew the answer beforehand, and most people probably heard it before too. But if you just ask most people, okay, what would you rather have? $1 million right now, tax-free money. Here's $1 million, or I'll give you a penny every day, and I'll double it for a month. What would you have? And of course, the penny blows it away. It's like $5 million or some dollars.
$5 million. Yeah.
Yeah, after 30 days. So would you wait 30 days for the penny? Well, of course, of course you would, or you want your million right now. And it's just hard to imagine that a penny doubled for only for 30 days would be that much. But everything is like that. Everything is like that. Everything is compound. Everything we do in life is compound. The good and the bad.
Yeah. And it gets amplified.
It does.
You know, whatever you appreciate appreciates. Right? So that's what that penny example. I mean, I couldn't resist putting it in because that's the mental imagery that often came to me, where I said, you know, if I was to practice this every day, I know that it's going to expand exponentially. It's going to expand like that pebble on the beach with the camera and the bigger picture. I know this already, but I wanted to do the experiment myself. And I did. In 2014, I started writing gratitude on January 1st, 2014, which is a year I took off after the passing of my father, and a bit of my stories in there.
Yep.
And I wrote for 365 days, and it started on a little sticky note, and then it got onto a bigger one, and then it got onto a small notepad, and then a big notepad. And before I knew it, I had this, you know, I call it a jar, but it was really like a big box filled with notes.
Right.
And on January 1st, 2015, I opened it, dumped it out, and then I separated them all by month. Then I separated them by season, and I started to look through them. And I've included some in the last chapter before the writing part of gratitude. I was amazed because you forget. So when you're paying attention, and the next day comes, and the next day comes, you forget how blessed you were, because maybe at the beginning of the next year you've got a challenge, but when you look back over the last 365 days and you see how much you had to be grateful for, you feel pretty blessed.
You really do.
You know, so you forget how it compounds. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I've been planning on going through my big jar of gratitude things. So like every day I take out these little index cards that I write the things down to people, mostly people I write down who I'm grateful for. And so I also write things down in my gratitude journal as well. But I've always been planning on going back and emptying the whole thing out and read them all. I haven't done that yet, but
it's great fun.
It would take a lot of time. Someday when I'll just have like maybe a rainy day, I have nothing else to do, which is I think I'm kind of like you. You probably never have those days where you don't have anything to do. You're kind of like a workaholic.
It's rare. It's very rare. It's very rare. I've always been a busy person. I'm very passionate about my life and what I want to do and how I want to serve and, you know, what I want to do on the planet. So I've got ideas and I just work passionately to get from one idea and think big and never feel limited. You know, it's like being in a room with no roof. So I like that. But I was really when I was writing the book, I asked my, you know, people in my life, people that most people I knew, but some people I didn't. I asked them to submit stories about how gratitude had touched their life. And I had quite a number I had to choose from. So I chose 10 and they're in the book. And these are people, there's a gal in the UK and these are all very different stories. Some are of hardship, some are of absolute love and appreciation, some were unexpected. So I chose a nice variety, and there's 10 really good stories in the book of other people's lives and how gratitude has graced their life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
If I had known you, I would have asked you, Bob.
Well, maybe Gravitate to Gratitude Part 2.
Part 2.
Whatever. You're definitely going to be in my. I've been writing my book for a long time, but it's just like I just don't spend the time to like just get it done. And I don't want it to be like a cheap thing. I want it to be semi decent when it comes out. So when I do, you will definitely be in there. And so will most of the people that are here that are like even on the side of the chat right now, because they're all these are all people that I mention every single day, basically in my gratitudes. You know, like so many people, I mention them almost every day because they make that big of an impact on my life.
Yeah, and you're very aware, and that's great, because don't forget, you're giving kindness to them, you're giving gratitude to them, they're receiving it, but most likely when we receive it, we're also, you know, it kind of fills up our cup to the point where we can turn around and give it away. You know, you want to give it away to other people. So that's what's important. You know, you're being grateful, but you're also giving a big gift to an awful lot of people every day. So just don't underestimate that.
Yep, that's the whole principle behind it is is to give out like that, just to give. My little screen,
Yeah.
my screen now. I put it up there so it stopped the sunlight from coming in, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, the sun
Well,
popping up.
you got to get your book written there, Bob. That's important.
I do. I really do. Hey, so you're a PR person. You started your own PR firm back in 1992.
I did. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was in theater for a good part of my life since I was a kid, and I didn't want to go into theater like I did, community theater on the stage, and had great fun. It was a great way to grow up. And but I found myself more, getting into the promotional role of being on a board of directors over a period of time, and promotion was just came really easy to me. So back in '92, I had a contract with a company in Toronto, and I was doing a lot of work with them, and I started to just invoice them for my time. They were kind of way ahead of their time, because back then companies, were still having employees on their payroll, and I was this independent PR contractor, and I was helping them expand the awareness of their company in Toronto. So I started invoicing them, and they had me around for a number of years, and that was the genesis of what was Flower Communications Agency. And then I turned that into a business where I became, and still can be if I want to, but I don't do it so much anymore. I was a publicist here in Montreal for professional theaters, and companies would want some promotional. They want to, rebrand their business, or they wanted to market or advertise or whatnot. So I developed an agency for that, and I have my team of graphic designers. They have their own business, and we kind of joined forces so that our clientele had a really great team to go to, all under one roof. And now I've expanded it into a supported self-publishing division as well. So I've combined all those questions that people have asked me over the years and tried to package it up in a way where now we can help people write their book and publish their book with all of the pieces in between, where the PR piece and the design piece and the editing and all of that. So things are, things just moving along. It's really terrific.
That's really cool. How do people get a hold of you to find out more about that? Or I can't believe we're almost out of time here. So yeah, tell us the best way to contact you, so that we can get a hold of you and people can get a hold of you. I mean, I'll put all the information inside of the video.
Go right. Okay, right to my website is carolynflower.com. That's all one word, CarolynFlower.com. You'll find out a little bit about me and about my team, the chaps, my graphic design geniuses, and kind of a little bit about what we're about there. And I'm on social media, because that's kind of where you need to be and where my clients need me to be. On Facebook, I have my Carolyn Flower Enterprises is a Facebook page. Gravitate to Gratitude is a Facebook page. And the book, of course, is available on Amazon, or by contacting me. If they want a signed copy, I'm happy to sign it and just send it out.
And I appreciate having a signed copy right here too. Thank you so much for doing that for me. But here is the
book. My pleasure.
Gravitate to Gratitude, Carolyn Flower. It's an amazing book. I highly recommend you get this. It's raised my elevation of being grateful a lot higher. I know that now when I do put it out there, it's got to be better than what I think I had in my mind, because you kind of raised the bar right here with this book as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Really, really good book. I so appreciate you. So we need to set a time when this is going to be over here in just a minute. We need to set a time for you to come back. There's just so much more that I need to learn from you. I don't know if anybody else does. I do. I need to learn more from you. So I so appreciate you coming here. Now, before you go,
my pleasure.
Is there who are you the most grateful for in your life?
Oh goodness. Well, I'm grateful for my health. I think that's probably, I always am grateful for that. As young and older, it's obvious that there's challenges out there, and health issues are number one. So keeping myself healthy, I'm grateful for my family, my children, and their health every day. If I get to the end of the day and everybody's healthy and everyone's well, that's a really good day for me. And that goes to my extended friend and my colleagues and my family. and the ability to be creative and to trust my intuition. That's always been something I've been very, very grateful for. And I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for being here.
I'm really grateful for you, and I'm grateful for everybody who came here today too. Thank you so much. And so
thank you, everybody.
I will get the replay out a little bit later on. I'll put all the links inside of the replay, and I will put up, and I'm going to get a lot of these quotes of things that you said in here, and I will put those out there on Facebook so people can. It'll bring more people in towards the replay and get the curiosity thing going on.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thanks very much, everybody.
So thanks everybody for coming. So tomorrow, Jackson Kelly, he comes out every Friday. Him and his lovely wife Chrissy, they're both here right now. They come out and they do a show called Friday Night Live every Friday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And it's just an amazing show. They're part of our whole wellness team. And so Friday night, so he comes in every day, every Friday, and talks about just amazing stuff, usually about what he's going to have on his show later on that night. But so if you get a chance, come in tomorrow, Friday Night Live, for the host of Friday Night Live, Jackson Kelly. Talk to you later, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
One more before everybody goes. Len Moody today. He's got a lunch with Len, and it comes out every Thursday, every Tuesday and Thursday. And today he's got hashtag Global Kindness going viral person. Karen Reardon Palmer is coming in. She's got this whole. You got to make friends with her, Karen. Or Karen, you really do. It's her name is Karen Reardon Palmer. She's got this whole global peace going viral. Her goal is to.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
Check her out. But she's going to be at lunch with Len today. So if you go to lenmooney.com/lunch with Len, it's at 11:30 Pacific time. So check that out. So okay, guys.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.